Mama's in the living room watching Judge Judy. I'm in the kitchen eating leftover sushi. And she yells, oh, girl, you gotta hear this one. A man was arrested for running a theme park, and when they said, where's your license? He said, my dog ate it. Oh, you can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on her Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, girl, you gotta hear this one. Mama loves to laugh at how absurd life is, says it's all a comedy and I'm her audience. And I love the way she makes fun of the world. She said, you'll never guess who's with their girlfriend. It was a man who didn't get us out of the bed. He said, I've been through hell and now I need some help. You just can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, girl, you gotta hear this one.
All caps means you're either panicking or trying to represent yourself in court. Both are mistakes. Your feelings are adorable, but they're not admissible, persuasive, or even interesting without evidence. Yes, Heather hates immunity doctrines. It's a personality trait at this point. You don't need to remind her, she wakes up angry about it. Bring receipts. No, I heard it from so and so. This is quid pro quo, not next door. Screenshots are statutes only. Don't fight each other. Fight the law. It deserves it more. If you're offended, excellent. That means you're awake, paying attention, and probably new here. No diagnosing the host. She's petty, not pathological. And don't diagnose anyone else. Stay in your lane, please and thank you. Do not summon the mods. They're tired, hangry, and may bite when provoked. Disagree loudly if you must. The algorithm eats drama for breakfast. Just keep it cute while you argue wrongfully. If you're taking screenshots of my chat, touch grass, tell your handlers. I said hi and find a hobby that isn't me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you can tell, I don't feel good. I sound like shit. I feel like shit, but here we are. So tonight we're going to get straight into this. We have 3 filings to cover in the What the Hales 2 case and some stuff in the bankruptcy. We're going to get to it as fast as humanly possible. I am not reading through 150 pages of bullshit today because, as you can tell, I don't actually feel like talking today. By week, I've not covered this topic in 10 days. And honestly, it's been the most peaceful 10 days of my life when people send me shit going, I don't care. I'll talk about it later. I don't care. I have cut streaming on this channel down to 3, possibly 4 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays. And I say in the afternoons because most likely they will be at 2 o'clock. However, life happens, and on Fridays I like to do shit. So Friday afternoons will possibly be less or later in the day. I did that for a reason. I have a second channel that I actually enjoy making content, heart and soul, and I'm kind of getting sick of drama. I am very, very, very sick of thousands of people who claim to be adults acting like fucking morons on the internet for clicks. I'm not ever been one of those people who just does shit for clicks. I talk about what I want to talk about when I want to talk about it, and you know, it is what it is. So we are covering all the filings, what the court said, and what that means from a procedural standpoint, not a personality. Because as we know, I don't play well with others. I call it like I see it, and you know what? That pisses some people off, and you know that I just don't care. I know people don't like me because I don't like so and so, or I don't always agree with so and so. Well, here's the thing: if you're on this channel and you think that I'm going to agree with everything you say, you are one brainwashed asshole, and you might want to look in the mirror and do some self-reflection. Because if you agree with everything everybody says all the time, that is a sign that you were in a cult. Look at society. Anyway, before we get started, we have a couple of things. Ninja Puppy, thanks for being a member for 8 months. 8 months of loving every minute of it. I appreciate you being here. You are one of the OGs on this channel, and I love you for it. And Kasha, thanks for the $5 super chat for Baby Squid Fund. And speaking of Baby Squid Fund, I have found something where I no longer Gail jokes that I need a Botox fund. I no longer need a Botox fund, because as Heidi put in the chat earlier, I am now affiliated with the Talent Truth. Everybody knows, if you know me, I have sensitive skin. You see me itch and pick at my skin all the time. I have eczema. I have whatever. I can't even do one of those viral collagen masks because the skincare underneath will start to itch and I will get uncomfortable and have a panic attack. However, I have actually found something that works. The Talent Truth F-Bomb. I no longer, this FU line is disappearing. It's got 3 ingredients in it. I no longer need a Botox fund, all because of this. And I have a discount code for you guys if you want to try it. What we put on our skin is huge. Skincare is everything. It's our largest organ. And if we don't take care of it, it shows. And I'm absolutely in love. I use this everything from a face moisturizer to a cuticle cream on my heels, as a lip balm, everything. It is my go-to. It's not died yet. But with that being said, I have a discount code. There's my link. Use code SQUID. It is great. I love it if you want to give it a try. I usually don't advertise shit on here. Well, plug it in. But I absolutely freaking love. It didn't die. Angel Bug, I don't know what you want me to do. But we are going to get into this. So, first things first, we are going to get into the first document because we aren't wasting any time here, because I'm not reading all of these documents word for word because I sound like, somebody told me on Sunday that I sounded like Robert Kennedy, and you know what? They're actually right. Yours came in today's mail. I actually love it. Like, I have never actually been obsessed with a lotion or a skincare product ever like I am with this. I carry it around everywhere. I mean, it literally is, it looks like that. A little goes a long way. You don't need much. And another use that I found for it was when I've been blowing my nose and going through 2 boxes of Kleenex this week. I put it under my nose to protect my skin from the repetitive, yeah. And I like it because it's a I mean, doesn't that sound like something I'd say? F-bomb, if I came up with it. Like, yeah. Oh, and Tammy, this is for you. Even though this is a Canadian company, it's made in Canada. But Tammy, this one's just for you. It's my Austin Matthews jersey shirt. Yeah. I know, right? Doesn't it sound like RFK? Yeah. So if I pause and cough, I apologize because it's yeah. All right, so this is the order that came out 2 days ago. Motion on the motions that occurred in making service and attorney's fees on Milltown's worst. Still love you too. However, it's a 6-page document. I'm not reading it all. Basically, it got denied for procedural reasons. The judge says right here, procedural requirements are a condition for demand. Teschendorf argues because they didn't have a prepaid means because it got returned to sender. Fucking loophole, but a procedural must. This is not about what we think is right. Remember, there's a burden of proof. There's a burden of proof. And that loophole of it being returned to sender, not from the person, but it was stamped returned to sender by the post office. Slight distinction, but procedurally, if the judge were to approve that, they could go and fight it. It sucks, but it is that. Kasha, I'm obsessed. Like I'm literally obsessed. Like all I have on today is a skin tint and a little bit of highlighter, and that's it. So it's. I mean, it sucks. I think that he should have to pay because he's a slimy little asshole. But you know, being a piece of shit person, unfortunately, is not illegal. And there are certain burdens of proof to meet. And unfortunately, yeah. It's one of those situations like this. Like, I don't think that this should be a good reason, but this is where I have a huge problem with one side in this case because their pleadings aren't up to standards. Their pleadings aren't what the judge is looking for. Their pleadings tend to suck. And as much as we want something to be true, just because we know it's true, there's a burden of proof, and the statutes are written like the statutes are written for a reason. And here's the thing. I know there's thousands of people that are bitching, probably hundreds of thousands of people that are bitching because of this. But here's the thing. If you have a problem with the statutes, and this is where, like, I'm not a fan of all the judges' arguments and stuff like that, but this is where if you have a problem with the law, don't shoot the messenger. Go to Congress. This is where we need to contact our congressmen and have the laws catch up to 2026. And this is where I think in society as a whole, but this case is making it oh so obvious. People are bitching at the parties involved, the judge mainly, that that he's making the wrong decisions based on emotion. Well, here's the thing. If you want to change the law, the judge is not the way to do it. You got to go to this Florida state legislature. And someone with almost 1 million followers, I believe, should be contacting their congressman and getting their congressman involved in changing the fucking laws and not just bitching about the judge. Like, this is why I'm fed up, because it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Both sides are literally doing the same shit over and over and over and over again, expecting something different to magically fucking happen. And that's just not the way life works. And that's why I've taken a step back from covering all of it, especially on a daily basis, because it's like, y'all are fucking insane. I think that people that can talk about this shit every day and talk about the same shit and not go absolutely out of their fucking minds is a miracle, because I cannot do it. Like, well, yes, but that's the thing about, if you know American law and you know the American government system, there's 3 forms of government. The judicial branch is not the one who makes the laws. They're the one who interprets it. And if you have a problem with the way the laws are written, going to the judiciary and bitching about the law is not the way to do it. You have to go to Congress, get Congress or your state congressional bodies, your state legislatures, to get off their lazy fucking asses and actually do the job. I'm sorry. So I just feel like I missed something. I'm not reading the documents word for word because I can't. I sound like, well, I don't sound like it anymore, but someone told me like 3 days ago I sounded like RFK, and we're just not doing that, right? We're not sounding like RFK. But oh, thank you. I love you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, beautiful. Mommy. Yes. Oh, sweet baby. Oh, sweet girl. It might have started out as a way to generate content for some, but sure has ended up as that. With the exception, you cover more than just this nonsense. I haven't covered this nonsense in 10 days. Yeah, you have to fight the good old boy system or stop bitching about it. And that's the thing. I live in Southeast Georgia. We're not much better in terms of the good old boy system in this county and the county north of me. However, I just think that there is a way of going about it, and I am all about petty revenge, and I can completely understand if petty revenge is a motivation in this, because you're talking to the queen of petty here, or Princess Petty. I don't want to steal Charlotte's thing, but it's one of those things of, I can completely understand petty revenge. However, there's a way to get it. And I have theories, and I have talked to a couple people about this. Oh no, I had a cold so bad. Sunday night, if you go to my other channel, I did a live stream on Sunday night, and I literally sounded like RFK. Like, my vocal cords were not healthy at all. Not healthy. However, and I will try to mute myself for coughing purposes, but I can't guarantee that I will always do it. However, it's one of those situations where I understand petty revenge, but I also have a playbook. And there's a reason why when I get into a certain place with people, I just say, see you, I'm out. Because I was talking to a couple people lately about the anti-what the Hales. They're taking a page, not that they're copying me, I'm not saying that, but that is my playbook, in the sense of, when I know that I get under somebody's skin who I don't like, I keep doing it. And we saw back in December of 2024, when during the deposition, when Bubbles got under Randy's skin, and the whole anti-what the Hale side celebrated because they mission accomplished. And the thing is I understand why he's upset with everything that's going on. I get it. From a human and a petty perspective, I get it. But when you know, when they know that they're getting under Jeremy's skin, and that's why they're not stopping, because they're accomplishing their goal every day that they get under his skin. Every time that they show, or he shows, a sign of being annoyed or frustrated or anything, And God forbid, I know that life ain't easy and it ain't always that easy. But every time he lets them get under his skin, they win. And I know because that's my playbook. When like Lips, when I know that mentioning her name and talking about her lawsuits got under her fucking skin. And that's why I kept doing it, because I know that it pisses her off. So every time she would open her fucking mouth and make a video, I would read another lawsuit because I'm petty like that. However, there's a way of like, I don't wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars when you're not going to get anywhere. And people are not going to stop because they know that they get under your skin. Stop letting them, not that Jeremy is ever going to see this, but if I did have a message to Jeremy, it would just be like, stop letting these people get to you, because the more that you show that they get to you, the more that they do it. And I know because I am that kind of a bitch. I know that I am that kind of a bitch that when I know that I get under someone's skin and I don't like that person, that I will pick at whatever gets to them until they crack. And that is exactly what I feel like the anti-what the Hales are doing. But I mean, I got nothing more, like, you know, I just, until someone goes to jail for all this crap, they're going to keep it up, and he keeps reacting and they just get egged on more and more. That's the second part. I know the first part, like at the end of the day, they did things that I believe are against the law. However, just being a general asshole and like talking shit about someone on the internet, to a point, is not illegal. And it might be shitty behavior, but shitty behavior is not always against the law. Morally and ethically wrong, yeah. But once again, we've had conversations about just because something is morally incorrect does not mean it's legally incorrect. If that makes sense. And I think that's what shit is just, like, it is just what it is, in the sense of like, you can't, they're never going to stop as long as they know that they bugged Jeremy. And the original point and the signs and all of that shit and the brandishing of that I completely agree with, the point of making sure that that shit doesn't happen. But like the other stuff, it's like, if we wanted to sue everybody who ever like interfered with our business, I'd be suing 10 people for going on their streams and saying that they hate me and talking shit about me and costing me subscribers, because that's cost me money. And that right there is tortious interference. You're actively telling people not to subscribe to my business, not to watch my channel, which is actively affecting my income and can easily be provable through YouTube analytics. But like, there is just certain points where we have to say enough is enough. And it's like, it's just one of those things of like, when is this going to be enough is enough? And who's going to be the bigger person? And we know that one side will never be the bigger person because they have no morals and ethics. But the side that claims that they have morals and ethics, now's the time to either go to the legislature and change the laws and change the word, not so much the laws itself, but the wording, update it to 2026 with the internet standards. Because a lot of these things were 2000s, 90s, even statutes, 2000s, where YouTube wasn't really a thing. And online businesses and people making money through internet content wasn't really a thing. So, but that's never going to change if nobody contacts their congressman and changes the law and actively works and puts in effort. And I think that would be fucking awesome content, actually. The interviews that would come out of that, like, I just think that would be some awesome content. But that's just me. It's just this right here, and that's the distinction of like, just because we think something is unethical doesn't mean it's illegal. Because at the end of the day, unless it's like an ethics statute for a lawyer, which I believe they should be held to because they all walk around and think they're better than us anyway. So if they think they walk around and think they're better than us, you better damn well act like it. And that's why I make fun of Bubbles, because he walks around thinking that he's better than everybody else because he's got that Esquire shit, when really his ethics are like a dumpster fire. However, with that being said, because I constantly preach this thing on my channel and it's like nobody seems to yeah. Aren't you coming up with an anniversary regarding the social aspect? Perhaps a revisit. I think everyone will do well to step away from this case for a month or two. April 1st is the anniversary of my channel, the 2-year anniversary of my channel. It's just a thing. And Annie, thanks for the $20 super sticker. You are very, very much appreciated. Thank you as always. And I'm having less streaming on this channel worked out this week because I was absolutely sick, but it's also given me time to like come up with videos and shit that I want to cover on my other channel. And I am so happy. Also, people that want me to get a P.O. box, I looked up how much a 5x5 by 11-inch P.O. box is, and it's like $398 for a year. So as much as I want to right now, it just really ain't happening. I hope so, but at the same time, case law is also different than the statutes. There's the distinction too. Yes, this might set a precedent as far as case law, but case law at the end of the day is still not the statutes. Yeah, there's a lot to cover, so much going on in the world. And tomorrow's topic will be kind of small updates on that, including the woman who faces jail time in the UK for lying about being an adaptive athlete at the CrossFit Games. Since the CrossFit Open starts in a half an hour, I think that's an interesting case to cover, considering 2 years ago, or 4 years ago, actually, 4 years ago, I did the adaptive CrossFit Games. I mean, the CrossFit Open as an adaptive athlete in the neurological division. So that will be one of the topics we cover for tomorrow. It's probably good you don't have a P.O. box. People would send a ridiculous amount of stuff for little Squid. I'm sure we do spoil her. But she is also spoiled by, I do have an Amazon list that has stuff for her in it, and people spoil her there too. And Flash Fan, so good to see you popping in to say hey, and I appreciate you. Flash Fan, I appreciate you. And Flash Fan, if you don't follow Flash Fan on Discord, you really should. He does trial streaming on his Discord server. He's freaking amazing. He is the research god. And all of that stuff. Plus, he's just an amazing human being. He will literally just message me to say, I appreciate you. And every once in a while, it is really good to just get a message that says, hey, you're my friend, and I want you to know you're appreciated. Flash Fan is amazing. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Case laws are not the same in your country and mine, following you in the subject. So it's case precedent is like an interpretation of a case, or how the law is applied to a specific case. However, there is still a difference between case law and the actual wording of the statute. And I think that, oh yeah, that's another thing. I've cut back my streaming schedule because I am doing a competition in April. I'm doing the True Challenge, which is a novice intermediate competition for CrossFit style workouts. And I am competing as an individual. I have not competed as an individual in any sport since before my brain surgery. So I am documenting some of how I'm training, in the sense of why I'm scheduling workouts on certain days, how I'm working around my chronic pain, how I'm recovering from being this illness and still trying to train. Also, I've lost 2 pounds since I stopped streaming this case because the stress that just this case puts in my world, I can't, it is unbearable for me. So, and hi, Happy, how are you? All right, so we've kind of covered this one, and it's just basically, it's a procedural thing. And this is the thing, when I've noticed that the judge has denied Randy, and this is not ex parte communications, this is strictly what's in the documents. It has never been I don't think that the anti-Hales side is correct. That's an important distinction that I've noticed in just reading the documents, because people try to tell me shit that's going on behind the scenes. Did you hear this? Did you watch this? No. I pay attention to documents because if I pay attention to the documents, I know what the judge is seeing from a document perspective only. With that being said, when I have read through these documents, the one thing that I have noticed is the judge never says that he never says that Teschendorf is right or that Teschendorf accepted service properly or that everything. He is strictly going on this rule and that rule. And it's like, it's one of those things of he's always attacked the documents, and that's not what has been said maybe in person. And the attitude in person, which obviously we only get one side of because we're not there. This is not televised. Like, no one is actually in the courtroom as an observer except for the parties. No one has actually gone to Pensacola and gone into the courtroom and seen the demeanor between all the parties. And I think that's a fault of our federal judicial system is there's no cameras, and I hate that. Because there's always 3 sides to a story: your side, my side, and the truth. And both sides are emotional, understandable. However, when it comes to the law, emotions are for suckers. I don't want to like insult anybody with that, but like, the law does not give a shit about your emotions, and it doesn't give a shit about your ethics, because ethics and morals are objective. What one person finds morally right, another person may not. People have been fighting about that for centuries. Religion and religious wars being the key example, but we're not doing a history lesson here. So DUI guy and Chandler did go to Pensacola for one of the hearings. Yeah, but they're not there every time. What I meant is no one's there, like the same person every time, to see like Chanley Painter from Law and Crime goes into the courtroom. I don't particularly agree with everything she says, but she goes into the same courtroom for multiple different hearings with the same parties to see not just one, to see every single one of them, and she can get a feel for, this is not normal, or this is the way the judge has always acted, and the judge did not act, or the judge acted differently today. We don't have enough information to make an informed decision. So yeah, and that's another thing that I talked to somebody about today. They had expressed to me that everybody is acting like this affects them personally. And that's where, when a couple people and I were talking about parasocial relationships, and I had Dose Reality on. Sorry, I was having a problem coming up with names there for a second. Dose Reality came on, and we talked about parasocial relationships and how people internalize things too much, that at the end of the day, don't have really anything to do with us directly. Yeah, that right there. Yep. Religion and politics are a main route to wars. Yes. And religion, we can get into a whole like religious side. I wear my cross, I have my Bible on my shelf. But as far as like religion, like every religion has even um like Protestants versus Catholics have a different set of morals and rules that guide them in their daily lives. Same religion at the end of the day, different sets of morals. And then they're all subjective, or they're all subjective. It's not yes, judges and magistrates can be wrong, and that's why we have an appellate system. And there's that too. Yep. But that's the thing about why I listen to all sides. And I just pay attention to the documents really, because the documents say it all. Because just like the media, just like the mainstream media, when they write an article, they only tell you what they want you to hear to shape their narrative. And I believe that is the same thing with lawsuits. Lawyers only tell you what they want you to hear. Someone on their channel, like social media is awful in the sense of you look at someone's Facebook page and they will only tell you what they want you to hear. You will only see all the happy pictures. So you think someone's life is perfect because all they post is perfect pictures, perfect things. And it's like when you scratch a little bit below the surface, you realize that their life ain't so perfect after all. But all you see on Facebook and Instagram is the happy side. So we think that that's the only side that's there. It's like it's one of those situations where we never know the true story. And this is not limited to Randy, Jeremy, anti what the Hales. This is society in general. This is what makes this case from a legal perspective so fascinating, because I view this case as a microcosm of society. They don't tell you the full story so that you have to come back to learn more. No, Jeffrey, they don't tell you the whole story because they want you to believe what they believe. And if they only tell you the facts that make you believe a certain thing and you never hear the other side, kind of reminds me of like 1930s Germany. Just saying. They only tell you what you want to hear. You think everything's perfect. And when you realize later that millions of people died. Just saying. Like, all right. Court finds that plaintiffs are not entitled to fees. Finding no abuse of discretion and denying costs, where it's unclear whether the appellees were actually served with a waiver of service summons. Like, love it or hate it, it is what it is. So next we have the one that's 70 pages, and I'm hitting the highlights because I am kind of sick of reading 70-page documents. What, candy?
Yes.
Did you eat your lunch?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
You want these?
No, it's okay.
You go get what you want and I'll open it up. Do you want a yogurt?
No.
We don't have candy.
Wait.
We don't have candy. Mommy didn't buy candy because mommy's butt's on the diet.
You can.
And I know you didn't just hit girl. Somebody mad. All right, this is the objection to magistrate judge's report and recommendations. We're going to hit the highlights because it's 70 pages. And I did kind of read through some of it because it was 2 days ago. I did notice that things get repetitive. And the one thing I have learned is repetition of the same You trying to argue the same facts in 3 different ways just annoys people. Just annoys people. All right. So there are some things that I believe are interested, in my opinion, it seems to me Belatho just wants to be done with this lawsuit. I don't think he understands the business model. And I believe that's a fault of, because I was talking to someone who is a little bit older than me. They called themselves old, and they said, if as old as I am, I still understand this. And I believe that person has a point. However, at the same time, it's like, these are the way the statutes are written. And the statutes, I don't think, from going through things, I do not believe the statutes are written in a way that takes into account the 2026 business model of YouTube and online businesses. Because back in the day, the only online auction kind of thing, we didn't have Whatnot, we had eBay. You had eBay starting in what, like 2000, 2002, 2003, something like that. I'm not exactly sure when eBay started, but when a lot of these statutes were written, the internet was still new and you didn't have these online business models. So trying to interpret a 2000s law for a 2026 business model, I think is completely effed up and wrong. However, our state legislatures have not gotten enough pushback on fixing the problems to make it where these things can happen in a courtroom. And I think that's a huge I think that's a huge problem that is contributing to this. It might not be the only thing. I'm not in the room with Belatho. I don't fucking know. But I do know that he was a law professor at oh shit, where was he a law professor? I know this prior to, and has kind of strong opinions on things. It's just one of those situations where but 70 pages of objections, and I did run it through. So objections. I'm trying to find the page of notes where I can where I did this, but I ran it through 2 different AI systems and looked for, or had it look for the case law and interpret the case law and give a breakdown of the case law. And it basically told me that Campbell Law School, thanks. I was about to say Campbellsport, and I'm like, no, that's a small town in Wisconsin. That's not a law school. It's it literally, without saying it, the 2 AI programs that I use, ChatGPT and another one, just done AI or something like that, that I purchased a monthly thing for, basically had said that there was some legal gymnastics that were, or mental gymnastics that were done with some of these case laws and how they were cited. It's correct. Wisconsin is not a law school. And that's true too. I'm not saying, but I've seen interviews with Belatho on YouTube, like that were done in like the news. I've seen Belatho speak outside of the courtroom in a professional manner. I've never seen the Thomases speak. I think Randy does a better response of explaining the business model in the response. I do too. And remember, so there's a couple of tension points. Remember, courts evaluate what you actually pleaded, not what you say you meant. Well, yeah, judge the dumbass. There's a few judges like that. There's also a judge in Atlanta that's suing the town or the city of Atlanta for $50 million. Make that one make sense. What's up, Angel? Your pad died? Well, oh girl. So, you want mommy's pad?
No.
Okay, there you go. I love you. Girl, we gotta get this knot out of your hair. I don't have candy for you. Go get the yogurt. We're I have no idea, but I hope not. And that's where I'm like, you know, writing the writ of prohibition was great and getting him removed from the case was great, but that's somebody that you need to talk to DeSantis about and have DeSantis actually get off of his ass and do his job. This is the thing, like just complaining about it doesn't get anywhere. So, Roy, would you like to give an update? So, I'm going to shrink this down just a little bit. Okay. Magistrate judge erred in analyzing the Unfair Trade Practices Act. See, that you can have. Here you go. Sorry, mama duties.
Oh,
I love you.
what you?
Love you. And take $80. Thank you for the $2 super chat. 2 for you, Squid. Appreciate it.
No.
Oh.
No phone. No phone.
No phone? Okay, bye. It wouldn't matter if this is election side of a huge county with very few people in it. Comparison, good old boy is strong among those who actually vote. Yeah. Leave DeSantis alone. We know he's auditioning for the next vice president. Come on, man. Ain't got time to worry about rogue judges. No, and I like DeSantis for the way he handled certain things. However, in other aspects, I think he's a piece of shit. It's one thing to handle like a COVID-19 situation very well in your state. However, when you can't admit that you made a mistake, I don't care how high up in government you are or how low level in government you are, you should always be able to admit when you made a mistake, because that's the sign of being a grown-ass fucking person. And I'm so sick of all these people trying to act like they're grown-ass fucking people who act like children. And I would have a lot more respect for some governors and some other people in government if they would actually stand on their morals instead of their paychecks. Yeah, hopefully he will not. Walmart always these greeters. Yeah, he's a Walter, get your shit and get out. And I really hope DeSantis is never runs for or appointed as or picked as a VP running mate. Never. Because I ain't never voting for that shit. All right. So, incorrectly applied over restrictive definition of actual damages. So, is limited to the difference in market value of the product or service in the condition over which it was delivered and its market value in condition which it should have been delivered. Narrow interpretation for cases involving unfair competition between business competitors, such as this case. And yes, everybody on YouTube is, oh yes, and natural disasters. Thank you. yes, he handles some things very well, but as much as he handles certain things very, very well, he also handles some situations like making sure your appointees are actually doing their job appropriately, and if they're not, replacing them and saying you're fired is, and judges can be impeached. Even Supreme Court justices can be impeached. But it takes a whole lot of people actually getting off their asses and doing something about it and not playing partisan politics. And as much as I identify on one side of the aisle versus the other, I also hate everybody. And I'm willing to call out the bullshit on both sides, no matter what letter is by their name. She has her third appointment of Keytrude on Wednesday, and the dermatologist found non-steroid treatment for the dermatitis and muscle weakness. Yes. I have to quit adulting. I'm hiding my blanket for it. Oh my god, blanket for it's the shit. Yes, right there. Exactly. All right. Corporate competitor plaintiff may seek lost profit damages under the federal, or I hate FDUPTA is the dumbest acronym I hate saying it. I feel like an idiot every time I say it. And I'm not a lawyer, so some of this stuff may go over my head, but this is just my interpretation based on what I read. It's just a situation of whether we like it or not, even like Mo in the deep end. I love Mo. Mo and I are going to work on collaborating on my other channel for some things. But according to the YouTube business model, we are competitors. Camelot 331, love his channel. Whenever I have insomnia and I'm up that late, I hit up his channel. If you don't subscribe to either Mo or Camelot, go fix yourselves. They're two awesome creators. However, I also in the YouTube business model, we are competitors because we're all competing for the same view. Like there's only 24 hours in a day. You can only view so many things on YouTube. We are competing for the same viewer. Friendly competition among most people. However, would you have people going and saying, oh, this person only got like 150 views on this? It's like, well, okay, good for them. Like, or sucks for them. Like, we're taking this like view competition to a level that I believe it's not meant to be. Yeah. I love when Squid Pro. Well, 70 pages of documents. I want to get through this today because I got other shit to cover tomorrow. And I'm not doing this where I'm scheduling a live stream just to read documents in this case. Like I care, but I'm caring less and less each day because the more people go, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? The less I fucking care. Excuse my language. It's like the less I care. You want my water? Okay. Where's your water?
No.
Plaintiff's claims are ill-suited to the requirements of FDUPTA because this case does not involve a product or service, much less the delivery of a product or service in the manner that was not contemplated in our contract. So this is where I'm like, the $959,000 in damages, I just feel like that's excessive. Scroll, Squid, scroll. It's wonderful. I'm hitting the highlights, and I'm sure enough people have either seen the document and it's been posted places. All of the above conclusions are erroneous because they are all drawn from a narrow interpretation that fails to account for the broader remedial purpose of FDUPTA in cases involving unfair competition between business competitors. And I don't know if the judge doesn't understand how YouTube works as far as like, we're all competitors. Everybody who has a monetized YouTube channel is a competitor. I could love everybody. Like say Flashfan I'm trying to get him to start a YouTube channel. Trying to get him to start a YouTube channel. Flash Man starts a YouTube channel. Love the kid like my little brother. So little brother I never had. However, we would still be a competitor on YouTube because there's only so many views that people can have in 24 hours. I love Mo. Mo is awesome. I've loved Mo. I've subscribed to Mo since before Maya. Like when the first time I ever heard her talk about Maya is when I subscribed to her. Like she's amazing. She's amazing. And she's so funny. Like she's so funny. All right. The court should reject the above finding is clear. The erroneous and misapplying controlling law instead of finding that plaintiff plausibly alleged actual damages and consumer injury under the Florida Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act. I mean, it's plausible, and that's the thing. Like, it's plausible. I would actually have to sit down with that unfair trade practices and actually read it and compare it to all the documents. This one, the report and recommendation from the judge, and the amended complaint. However, I still think that this and the way this is written right here should have been the way that the original complaint was written. I don't know. JKD Bucker, we're all mohos now. That's what her second level of second tier of membership should be, mohos. I'm convinced. Maybe considered excessive for a small business, but when you have a business making millions, it doesn't seem so excessive if losses are proven. Yeah, it's just, I think that this is the way. If this is the way that the original or even the amended complaint was written, and don't get me wrong, there were some things in the amended complaint that were like chef's kiss, but the way this is written and explaining the Unfair Trade Practices Act, this is the way that the amended complaint should have been written. Like, yeah, the views aren't necessarily always worth it to normal people. To spend an hour viewing means an hour they aren't able to dedicate to their own individual life needs. Yeah. This is something I think that Randy Doreen did better, and this one better explained how YouTube works. Yeah. There's part of me that still thinks that this isn't going to work because too little too late. I'm hoping, but this was always the case, that in discussing it with people who know more than me about the law in Florida, was always a stretch. But this is also my issue with suing 10 people at once. It's muddled, it's confused. People have the ability to stretch it out to do what they were doing. Hey, Musty. It's just a Lanham Act. Magistrate erred in analyzing Lanham Act. Supreme Court clarified that 43A is not a general catch-all statute covering all deceptive trade practices. 43A creates two distinct bases of liability: false association and false advertising. The R&R states in count 3 of the second amended complaint, plaintiffs claim defendant Lee violated 32 and 43. This one is where, this one right here is where it told me that there was some mental gymnastics going on. And like I said, I ran it through AI to have it assess the case law, because I don't have I don't have access to Westlaw and all that shit to analyze case law. This is where it was one of the issues that it had told me that there was some stretching. Let's see. It was, and I'm looking to see where it had, there was some overgeneralization. I'm trying to, like, because it's a big thing here. When you input a 70-page document and says analyze the case law involved in this, it gets very lengthy. So, like I said, I ran it through ChatGPT to analyze the case law in regards to how it was written and how it was used in the context. It is ChatGPT, so take what it says with a grain of salt. We're not at the end all be all hail ChatGPT, because no, like, ChatGPT sometimes can't even tell time. When you say 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. is how many hours, it will give you the wrong answer. Yeah. You want some grapes?
Yes.
You want grapes?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to I have to admit, this motion was very well written, argued, and can be used for a basis for future lawsuits. Yes, but here is the issue. Remember that the magistrate's report and recommendations was to dismiss with prejudice. So Randy would have to find a loophole of only maybe suing one person at a time. Or, like I said, Jeremy will probably never see this, but if he does, I would go after one person at a time to prove your point. And I would also find what gets under their skin and start doing it. Because that's the way to be petty and piss them off and actually get them to fuck up. Because just talking shit about you on the internet, unfortunately, is not an illegal thing. That's the shitty part. Being a shitty human being is not illegal. Yeah, Mama did need to be activated. Hold for intermission. Yes, I have to Mama mode engaged.
Streaming live from the corner glow. Camera on, but the pace is slow. Little hands tugging at my sleeve. Mama's world, it never leaves. One sip of coffee, one deep sigh. I hit pause, no need to ask why. Mama's on pause just for a while. Grab a drink, hold that smile. Bathroom break, life in a Sadie's. Be right back. My daughter needs chats alive, the comments roll, but tiny footsteps steal the goal. Toys scatter like a masterpiece. Mama duties never cease. One quick hug, one quick peek, a little snack and she's unique. Mama's on pause just for a while. Grab a drink, hold that smile. Bathroom break, life in a Sadie's. Be right back. My daughter needs
perfect timing. I got her some grapes. I told her they were candy, and we'll figure it out. Hopefully it works. If dismissed, I bet the chief judge hinges with prejudice, just a hunch. Possibly. I don't know, but I really don't see, unfortunately, Judge Hinkle is, if you think Judge Bolitho is like by the law and like strict and doesn't really give a crap what a lot of people think of him, you should really check out Judge Hinkle. Judge Hinkle he looks nice. He looks like a sweet old man. But I can almost guarantee, based on some of the cases that I've Googled about him, that he is more hated than Bolitho. And if Bolitho is learning from him of how to be a federal judge, I don't see this going well. Yeah, I'm going to point. A lot of it could have been better applied in earlier filings, like the second amended complaint. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So but the Lanham Act, the argument relies on the 11th Circuit precedent. It should ideally cite Suntree Text versus EcoSense International. It gave me some other case law to look up, and I can greatly appreciate it for that. And we're not going to rehash every time where it says the R&R states. I'm going to not read them because we've already, Lee and all defendants agree to intentionally participate in civil conspiracy among themselves. False advertising under the Lanham Act, support of tortious interferes with advantageous business relationships. Also, it states YouTube's main source of revenue is advertising, which enables businesses to find relevant audiences and grow their business and brands via unique YouTube channel platforms for a business. Creators who are part of the YouTube Partner Program are eligible to share in advertising revenue. That's why I monetize these streams. I'm spot on about Judge Hinkle. I researched some of his rulings. He's not to be trifled with. Yeah, he's kind of a dick. I mean, and if that is who Bolitho is learning from, when I started looking into Judge Hinkle, I started to realize why Judge Bolitho acts a certain way. Because if he's learning from the district judge above him, the district judge above him is kind of a dick. I don't know how else to describe Hinkle besides a dick. You were being tactful, well, I'm not. I appreciate your tact, but I will, you think it, I'll say it. It's kind of a dick. He's even pissed off a lot of people with his rulings, and a lot of people have decided to write articles on how much they hate him. Hales is part of the YouTube Partner Program with a current subscription fan base of over 730,000 people across the world for the YouTube channel What the Hales. And Cynthia, thanks for being a member for 16 months. Holy crap, my channel's been monetized for 16 months. You've come a long way, Squid. Proud of you. Thank you. I've also regressed in some ways because I've decided that some things that I thought were worth the fight for aren't. And I hope your appointment goes well. It's okay. Oh, thank you. Well, oh, thank you. How dare I not take a telegram? Excuse me, eating on stream. I don't think that of Bolitho at all. I initially did, but for his filing this attempt to dismiss his case without everything sanctions for BBB, yeah. Well, and here's the thing, and we're going to get to that other document, but I think I have a theory, and it's not going to be a very popular theory. However, I have remained consistent that I think that the anti-What the Hales have gotten under Jeremy's skin, and they are the kind of people, and I know because I can relate to them in this fact, where when you find something that you can get under someone's skin, you keep doing it. because it works. It gives you the views. It gives you the satisfaction of knowing that you pissed someone off. Like I said, I don't like the anti-what the Hales, and I'm definitely not fans of them, but I can relate to some of the personality traits. I can relate to some of the personality traits, like my coverage of lips. She wanted to start shit with me, and I knew that talking about her would get under her skin, so I kept doing it. When she shut up, or her husband turned off her internet, I'm really not sure what happened, I shut up because it got boring getting under someone's. It got boring talking about someone and not having them respond. Same thing will happen if Jeremy doesn't talk about these cases. They won't have anything to get under his skin about, and they will get bored. I can relate because I am that kind of a dick. I've never claimed to be a good person in that respect. Hey, Freckled, how are you? And Roy, member for 17 months, almost time to have 2 children. Oh, it's but my theory, going back to what Robert was talking about, I don't think that the judge has liked Randy since the deposition in December of 2024. And I say that because I don't think he's liked Bruce either. I don't think he's like Beelzebubbles, Bubble Brain, whatever you want to call him. I don't think he's liked either of them, but I particularly don't think he's liked Randy, because usually a lawyer will tell their client when to shut the fuck up. And Randy never told Jeremy to shut the fuck up. And I say this because Jeremy has even said, and I remember him saying, that he admitted to saying some things that he probably shouldn't have said. But I think that showed the judge that Randy doesn't have control of his client. And that pisses judges off. From what I've noticed, if a lawyer does not have control of their client, it does not make judges very happy. It didn't make Judge Ascarati very happy in the Depp v. Heard. It did not make Judge Darrow very happy, obviously, with Darrell Brooks, when he couldn't control himself, even though I thought she should have tased his ass. But sidebar. It does not, like when James Owens couldn't control Sarah Boone's attitude, it pissed off Judge Cranick. Like, it does not make judges very happy when lawyers cannot control their clients. And I think that is when his disdain for Randy started. I just, like, you know, it also feeds the ain't gonna change until they see negative reinforcement from the courts. I agree with you, but unfortunately, being a dick is not against the law. Ask me how I know, because I kind of sometimes skirt that line myself. And hey, French Psycho, how are you? That's why I never have a lawyer. I'm uncontrollable. What'd you do that for? Okay. It's just, yeah. This is much better pled, but I really wish that this would have been pled like this in the original or the amended complaint. And it strikes me as a too little too late. Oh yeah, well, duh, I'm not saying, but Roy, you never heard me say that Judge Belaytho liked Bubbles. I think he got sick of both of them, but his disdain specifically for Randy, I believe, my personal opinion, I could be wrong. This is just based on what I've seen in the filings and what I've heard people complain about. It was my major gripe with Jeremy of that December 2024 deposition was the anti-what the Hales were, and specifically Bubbles, was saying things to get under Jeremy's skin, and Jeremy took the bait hook, line, and sinker. You can go back to my streams about that, and I will literally say Jeremy took the bait hook, line, and sinker, the same quote. However, it's one of those situations of they know they can do it, and they know it works, and they know it gets them clicks, and they're going to keep doing it until the only person who shuts it down is Jeremy, by not letting them get to him. And I know that's super fucking hard, but like when you stop letting someone get to you, they get bored. Like when Lips shut her mouth about me, I stopped talking about her because I got bored. If she runs her mouth again, and I know it's going to get under her skin, and I know she's going to react and post crazy videos, I'm going to keep doing it because it's fucking entertaining. But if I'm just talking and it's one-sided and I'm not getting a response, I get bored. So like, I get bored. So like, I can't, because I share that really bad personality trait with some of the anti-what the Hales ecosystem, and that pettiness, I can see it. Like I told someone today, it was straight out of my playbook because I've done the same shit. So I can see, it's like it takes a bitch to know a bitch. Have you ever heard that? It takes one to know one. Well, it takes a petty princess to know a petty princess. Like, and the anti-what the Hales, at the end of the day, a lot of them are petty as fuck. And it's like, sometimes you just got to rise above that. Yeah. I'm just, and hey, Pickle Tink, how are you feeling? How are you? It's been a while. How are you? Yes, but there's a difference in hiding it. There's a difference of hiding it and showing it. I'm not saying, because I haven't actually been privy to any conversations between the two of them, actual conversations, other than what's been regurgitated by a party. I don't, there's a difference between, like, we all have biases. We all have opinions about things. It's just whether you can hide it well enough to do your job. But I believe that's where his like lack of understanding and like total like give a shit, where I don't give a shit for either side, comes in, because I feel that right now. I love how the docs are noted for reference and how clearly it's laid out in the inequity in the judges' rulings. I really wish that all of the writings would have been like this, because this is easier to read. I mean, even though it's 70 pages and it does get repetitive, it gets really repetitive. I also think he blames Randy for not being able to work with BBB, even though BBB was the one being bad. He thinks Randy should have sorted it out. And I do agree with that to a point, in the sense of he expected everybody to act like assholes, or to act like adults. Then I've realized that not one fucking person, not one, even me, in this situation, is really, really bad at acting like a fucking adult. Just, my opinion. Heckle, thanks for the $2 super chat. My opinion, pineapple belongs anywhere it wants. I know that people have strong opinions about this, but at the end of the day, when you go to sleep at night, when you turn off YouTube, if this affects your life and you are not a YouTuber, and you think about this as the first thing that you think of when you wake up and the last thing that you think about when you go to bed, that is a problem. That's a problem. I have the windows open. It's 70 degrees outside. Lanham Act, let's get to where I'm trying to get through this, because, this is a lot of my opinion versus actual, like, reading the documents, because I generally don't try to give you my super opinion all the time. But, like, this is just 70 pages of it gets predictable. Social media posts are actionable under the Lanham Act, thus even individualized outreach to prospective customers can form the basis of conduct under the Lanham Act. And that's the telling people to unsubscribe, not to follow, not to watch, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yeah, what you watching? Magistrate erroneously attempts to draws a bright line by concluding YouTube broadcasts are audiovisual works or similar works, and thus granting protection under Florida's anti-SLAPP. This is clearly erroneous use of technology and social media by means to present a false and actionable statements under the Lanham Act. For instance, using a domain name and a Facebook page to make false advertising statements is actionable under the Lanham Act. Similarly, hashtagging a competitor's name or product in a social media post in certain circumstances to consumers. Oh, like when someone posts "We are Charlie Kirk" in a stream that has nothing about Charlie Kirk in it. I'm just a thought. So in determining whether to dismiss under 12b-6, court accepts the factual allegations in the complaint as true and construes them in the light most favorable to the non-moving party, which would be the plaintiff. Here, the magistrate erred because R&R dismissed the fact that intensive claims without allowing for further factual development. This approach does not align with the broader principle of the factual disputes are generally inappropriate for resolution on a motion to dismiss. Girl, you did this twice. Magistrate also erred by drawing inferences based on facts pled in light least favorable to the plaintiffs, thus exact opposite of what the law mandates. The magistrate did this by stating what defendant Lee is alleged to have done would be better described as communicating information, expressing opinion, and reciting grievances. And even though I kind of agree with that is what she did, in a sense, there's parts that I don't agree with what she did. I don't. It's the actionable speech and the commercial speech that is where I don't agree with the judge. I don't. The commercial speech part is where I clearly disagree with the judge, because that was shocking to me that commercial speech when you're on YouTube on a monetized platform, basically making ad revenue as you talk. You're making ad revenue with every view. That to me screams commercial speech, because your speech is literally being monetized by ad revenue. It's repetitious because they're responding point by point. Hard to avoid repetitions when doing that. I agree to a point, because all legal filings have repetition in them, but there are some things in this that just get extra repetitive, which makes it a very hard read. The tortious interference against Lee and Matskin. Tortious interference is a whole nother set of issues. Judge erred in concluding that plaintiff's allegations of business relationships with social media subscribers, followers, or platform users to fail to satisfy identifiable customers. It was clear the way the judge wrote it. However, for a YouTube channel, your viewers are your identifiable customers, because you might not be paying, and this is, I think, where the letter of the law does not match. Sorry. The letter of the law does not match the YouTube advertising platform in the we share ad revenue. So I might only make 10 cents on every ad you watch, but it's like watching a commercial on a regular network TV. You gotta go potty? You okay? I gotta get the knots out of your hair. Bye, Freckled. Rage quitter. Yeah, and And that's the thing. But I believe, I don't know if that's so much a problem with Belitho, and here's where people will get mad at me. I don't know if that's so much a problem with Belitho as an issue with the way the statute is written and not understanding 2026 business models. This is not this is not 2000. I am not a network that makes a news program and gets ad revenue, and that trickles down to what I pay my employees for being on the air. This is a kind of a pay to play situation. Like, you watch an ad, you get the show. You watch an ad, you get more of the show. And I also have the ability to add extra or take away. I can do 3 levels of automated. So the way YouTube has it set up, I can do 3 levels of automated ad rolls during a live stream, or none, and monetize it after. Or I can have it manual, and I can put, hey, I need to take a break and go do mama duties. I'll insert an ad here. Because YouTube has such an individualized way of doing it, that does not meet the same criteria as, say, like an ABC who decides to, charge $100,000 for a 30-second ad spot, and that makes their network revenue. I am the network. It's just me. Like, it's a different business model, and I don't think these statutes, like the Lanham Act and unfair trade practices, I don't think the language of those statutes understands and has caught up to 2026 business standards. And I think that is my main issue with all of this, is we have seen now that the judge is clearly not going to take 2026 YouTube business models and OLITE and things like that, and like my Tyler Truth, my 15%. Like, that's a business relationship. I didn't sign a contract, but I filled out an application. They gave me a code specifically with the obligation that I would share that code and bring in business to their, like, that's a whole different business model than like of network TV. And it's like, it's a weird relationship. But I don't think any of these statutes have caught up to that. And I think that is where we need to go to our state legislatures and say, hey, as YouTubers or as small business owners, we need to figure out how to update this to save our asses. I think that's my, there has been a lot of case precedent that establishes laws for modern systems. Apparently not in Florida. Apparently not in Florida. It's, yeah. But in the main, if I'm remembering the initial or the amended complaint correctly, Jeremy or Randy, I keep saying Jeremy, but it's Randy or Dorian, whoever wrote it, did not actually put like a demographic. They should have, in my opinion, they should have put a little bit more of their YouTube analytics of, the male 18 to 45 or, 35 to 60. They should have put more of demographics in there to identify somebody instead of just saying the viewer. Because to me, the judge doesn't understand or doesn't want to understand how 2026 business models compare to the statute that was maybe written 20 years ago. So you need to spell it out for him. And I think this does it a little bit better. But that should have been done. And I think it's going to be too little too late. Is anyone having problems with their chat not being seen by on other channels? I did. Yes. I did. I went to Moe's yesterday morning, typed in hi everybody. It was there when I went in top chat, but when I went to all chat, my chat completely disappeared. And I'm a mod on her channel, so I can see when things are deleted by other mods or deleted by the channel owner. my chat was not deleted by anybody except for YouTube. So yeah, yeah. It feels like he doesn't want to. The judge or Lanham Act was written in the 40s, but when's the last time it was updated? Because I know things are revised. Lanham Act dates. Lanham Trademark Act date passed. Oh, let's see. July 5th, 1946 was the first time. But it was enacted by Congress in 46, but it has not been updated. When's the last time it was updated? February 25th. It supersedes the Copyright Act of 1870, the Trademark Act of 1881, but it has not been. The new law was to take effect in 1947. Any registrations made under the act that was originally passed would last for 20 years. It doesn't say when it was actually, like, if it was ever updated. And that was in the Library of Congress. I was on the Library of Congress's website. So, okay, so 1946. So we're dealing with an 80-year-old law. And the fact that we're dealing with an 80-year-old law, I'm thinking it kind of needs to be updated. But that's not a judge problem. That's where the law needs to be changed by Congress. And that is what you need to get Congress to get off their fucking asses and actually do something, and God forbid we have that. Should have maybe, but their argument is that it wasn't necessary at the initial pleading. You don't need to identify my interpretation, and this is just my interpretation based on what I've read and all the pleadings, is that you might not need to identify individual customers like Taze or Heidel or Robert, but you need to identify a group or a demographic, and YouTube viewers doesn't seem it. You know what I mean? Like yeah, we have a lot of issues that people bitch at judges for, and people bitch at the president for, or people bitch at each other for, and it's like, no, we got to bitch at Congress. We got to put the blame where it belongs. We got to put the blame where it belongs and get people to get off their asses and do their jobs instead of complaining at each other. Because at the end of the day, when you complain at each other, nothing actually gets wrong or nothing actually gets done. Yes and no. There's room to argue how to apply a law to a current system in the absence of one. In the early days of the Republic, we fell back on Old English law. We still fall back on Old English law. See the immunity doctrine in 1607. Lord Coke in 1607 England. That's where we get our immunity doctrine from. Yeah, because I hate immunity. I did some research. So when will Squid be able to pay her mods? When Jeremy does. Oh, and that's why you really got to choose your mods carefully, and you really have to make sure that you protect your mods and you watch their back, because at the end of the day, they help you for free. So, elements of tortious interference under laws applied in the 11th Circuit. It basically, everybody's seen this shit by now, I'm sure. Like, it's 2 days later. The amount of DMs I got going. This dropped. I'm pretty sure people have seen it. Florida law requires identifiable customers, not individually named customers. This I agree with. However, this is where I think it was a pleading problem, and people are going to hate me for that. But I agree with this, not individually named customers, but identifiable customers. I don't even think Jeremy put any identifiable customers in there. And this is where I think he should have used his analytics and been like, even put like, males age 45 to 60. So critical distinction in Florida laws between relationships with identifiable customers and impermissible claims of interference with a business relationship to the community at large. This is because no cause of action exists for tortious interference with a business relationship to the community at large. And that's where you have to be a little specific. And like I said, this is purely my opinion. That's where, like, this sentence right here, I felt like no cause of action exists for tortious interference with a business relationship to the community at large. And I feel like by not putting anything in there as far as like demographic, using your YouTube analytics, which everybody has, or Jeremy has easy access to, which means Randy has easy access to, would reduce the community at large to a specific demographic that watches his show consistently. I'll run for Congress as a sailor, so I drank too much. She's swimming in every third word is a cuss word, but I'll get shit done. Yes. I agree with that. But where does the community at large and the YouTube community, where's the distinction? Because that could pop up on anybody's feed and anybody can click on it and watch it, even they don't subscribe. 50% of the people who watch my show don't subscribe. So that tells you right there. But where is the identifiable demographic? Is it the subscribers, or is it just the random person that's a community at large? So I agree that Randy has a point. I just think it was argued. I just think it was pled poorly. And this is like my layperson's opinion. Most people will tell me to shove it up my ass because it doesn't matter because I don't have a law degree. Apparently, I can't read law documents unless I have a law degree. It's where you draw the line, and that's where I think the judge was like, you didn't put anybody. So that's the community at large. Like, you could be the random YouTuber, or he could have put my 10,000 members. I don't know how many members he has. I just pulled a number out of my butt. It's full of shit. Excuse me. But it's like, that's where I'm like, I see the judge's point, because how do you identify who is who? But that's where I would have put my, 10,000 members. My 10,000 members became 9,000 after they did this shit. That's an identifiable customer because they're literally paying you for premium content. That's where I feel like it could have just been a little more detailed. That's my only okay. You gotta use it right here though, baby, okay?
Okay.
So it's a, yeah. Well, you can even put a tighter, I see where you're going. I don't agree with you. I will agree to disagree. It was a strategy choice on Randy's part, perhaps hoping to put the tighter definition, but you can even make it a tighter definition in front of the jury, like exact demographics. But you just need, my thought process based on what the judge thinks and how the judge's mind works in what I've read up in the documents and orders from him. The judge wants some detail, and there is no way of telling what the community at large is unless you put some demographic and analytic information in there. And I, as a YouTuber, knowing how some people see my videos and I'm like, I've never seen you before in my life. How did my video come across your YouTube recommended page versus the people who are here every day and in chat consistently like you. So that person who's never seen my content before and all of a sudden views it just once, would that still be considered quote unquote the community at large because they chose not to engage anymore after that one video? That is where my feeling is, because the statute is very vague for 2026 and how YouTube analytics and stuff work and how the YouTube business model works. That's where I feel like you just need to be a little more specific. Even though you don't quote unquote have to be, I feel like it really would have helped this judge identify a customer. Yeah, I see your point, but once again, I'm going to say I don't agree with you because not because of you're wrong, but because of the way the judge is interpreting the law. And because I've seen how the judge interprets the law and needs more specifics, having those specific information, it would take 30 seconds for Jeremy to look at his analytics and say, here's an identifiable customer. The average male between 45 and 60 who views my video is 60% of, just a random number, 60% of my demographic. So you can literally identify what 60% of 730,000, like 400 and something thousand. Like, you don't have to quote unquote by the letter of the law. However, it would help this judge who clearly doesn't know how fucking YouTube works. It would help him have an identifiable customer and just get that shit out of the way. Like, we will agree to disagree, understood. Yeah, it's just like, just because you don't have to, and this is where every judge is different, and you have to write, just like I had a professor. You have professors that want things done a certain way, and you have professors that don't. Neither one of which is necessarily quote unquote wrong. They just prefer things a certain way. And if I know a judge prefers shit written a certain way, or a professor in my case prefers shit written a certain way, and that's going to make my message clearer and help them not be pissed at me and just take my paper and rip it up, I'm going to write it that way. I might not be fucking happy with it, but I'm still going to do it if I know that I have that information available to me. It's not that hard to figure out. And I can put it in there and make this judge fucking happy and get this judge on my side. Thank you for putting it in better words than I can. When applying an outdated law for a modern system, you have to spell out everything, and so a layman with no understanding of the system understands. And I feel like the judge showed that he has no understanding of the system in Federal 1. So with that being said, I would lay it out and be just a little more specific than I have to, so that we're clear on the expectations here. And the judge can't come back saying, well, you identified the community at large, which could be anybody. You didn't actually name an identifiable customer. Yes, I did. Here's why. Like, it's yes and no. In most cases, yes. But how would putting your demographic information when the vast majority of people can see who watches Jeremy? Definitely not an 18-year-old girl. So how would, and that's my point. Like, that is one of my points, is like, usually in some cases, yes, but how would putting my 10,000 members, how would that tip off anybody to Jeremy's legal strategy? That wouldn't. in my opinion, that would not. No, that wouldn't. And if it would give them the fine or more ability to fine tune the harassment, Randy and Jeremy would have more evidence. Yeah, right. This is what I don't get. Like, I don't get either side. I don't get either side. Because there are some people on the anti-what the Hales side that we've seen will go out of their way to destroy people. But there are people on the what the Hales side that will go out of their way to talk shit about other people and bully other people and harass other people. So one side, and this is my problem with both sides, is one side is clearly shitty people. But one side masquerades as really good people when they're shitty people too. And that's not putting everybody in the same box. But I have seen some really shitty behaviors from people who support Jeremy Hales. And if you tell me that you haven't, you're lying to yourself. But one side will sit on their fucking high horse and pretend like they are perfect and they can do no wrong, even though they're literally doing the same shit. When you sit on a platform and talk about someone's mental health and complain about people bullying you while simultaneously bullying someone back, talking about their mental health, you're no better than a fucking anti with the Hales side. Like, you both sides got issues. But one side sits on a fucking high horse and pretends like they're better people. Just because you have more money doesn't make you a better person. Where, yeah. Yes. However, putting, answer me this. Putting, or how would males 45 to 65 or more, males, because I can't remember what the analytics says, but it breaks it up into age group. Males 45 to 60. How would putting that identify for people for harassment? It wouldn't, but it would give the judge an quote unquote identifiable customer instead of the public at large. That's all I'm saying is put an identifiable customer, my 10,000 members. You're not identifying people by name to harass, and people on the anti-what the Hales side already can see who's a member of Jeremy's channel because your names are in green. But it would give the judge a quote unquote identifiable customer and have this whole situation not have ever happened. And hey, Georgianne. How are you? They're convinced that JH would settle because JH refuses to amp their harassment. And I'm convinced they've amped their harassment because they know they bug him. And they know they bug half of you. And when they know they get under someone's skin, they just do it because they can. But that's not revealing your... See, we're going to have to disagree because that's not revealing your customer base. You're not giving names. You're giving a demographic, which everybody knows that the average demographic for Jeremy's channel is probably females 45 to 70. You're not getting an 18-year-old girl who watches Jeremy. They're probably going to be watching makeup content or beauty content kind of things. Or Charlotte Dobre. That's not going through your members list and saying, Roy's a member. Here's his information. You're just giving a general demographic of your analytics that satisfies the judge's need for an identifiable customer. Males between 45 and 60 make up 40% of the base. That's not identifying anybody for them to target. Yeah, that we're just gonna have to disagree. Yeah. We're just gonna have to agree to disagree on that because I think y'all are fucking wrong. And this is going not based on emotion. This is going based on the judge basically said that you can't just have the community at large. So putting males 45 to 60, going through your analytics, and one section of your analytics is not my idea of sharing personal information. If that is your idea of sharing personal information or sharing information on your thing, we have way more problems than that. But that would satisfy the judge's need for a quote unquote identifiable customer, because you can't say the YouTube viewer, obviously. That would satisfy the judge's need and get that out of the way and not have the judge want to dismiss your claim because you can't identify a customer, because you just did, without being specific. No, it doesn't, because that all the judge wanted was an identifiable customer, and that's not saying that's Jeremy's only customer. That's just an identifiable. Like, we're putting 10,000 members. That's not the only customer, and he doesn't have to identify all his customers. That's just, it narrows it down from the public at large to an identifiable customer. It's not hard. It's not a hard concept, but I keep describing it like 10,000 times and y'all still want to fucking argue with me. So yeah. Then getting to this, the plaintiff's motion to disqualify, and y'all can tell I don't fucking feel good because I don't give a flying fuck today. Like, what bugs me about how this is being handled is that the judge keeps saying no claim was submitted. I don't understand why Randy couldn't just give an example of what he's claiming. That's my point. Like, the judge wanted an identifiable customer. And I'm seriously sitting and arguing this fucking point again when y'all don't fucking understand or agree with what I'm saying. So I'm wasting my fucking oxygen. But just because you don't have to, quote unquote, this judge wants it. And instead of going through all of this and now getting your fucking claims dismissed because you couldn't just identify a goddamn customer by saying males 45 to 60, not fucking hard. YouTube analytics, males 45 to 60, and make up a large base. That's it. That's all. You just had to identify somebody instead of being the public at large Joe Schmo off the street that catches 5 minutes of your video and never watches again. Thank you. At least someone gets it. JH doesn't have to give any name without the customer's agreement. JH doesn't have to give a name. You have to give a generalized group. My YouTube members, I have 10,000. A generalized group that all paid for premium content. There's an identifiable customer without actually identifying a single person. Like, he doesn't. And he doesn't have to identify. But the judge wanted an identifiable customer as like a group. You can't just say the public at large is my customers. But YouTube has a whole analytics section where he could easily go this and this and just put that in there. It's like, it's not hard, and you're not identifying anybody. But see, all he had to do was put what, but by putting up, see, and you and I are disagreeing because I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. By putting an identifiable customer, that doesn't mean that it's the only fucking customer. And I think that's the problem where people are getting into. It's like, well, if I put a customer, then I'm limiting myself. No, you aren't. You're just putting an identifiable customer to shut the judge up. You're meeting the judge's expectations and not getting your case recommended for dismissal. But by simply putting one fucking sentence. Yes, analytics. You're never giving private information. You're just giving an analytic. Like, most of my viewers watch between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Like, YouTube gets so, yeah. If JH limited it to my 10,000, no. An identifiable customer that is being influenced is his 10,000 subscriber or 10,000 viewer or 10,000 members. That is not the only customer. You're just identifying a portion of the population, and that's where you are wrong. That's where you are wrong. Yes, metrics and stats, nothing more. Yeah. Jimmy Walker, it all comes down to Randall Shock and effed up. And I don't think he's a shitty lawyer. I just think this is over his head. He certainly collected a lot of money. That's the yeah. I just, well, the thing about it, he did ask, because that was a problem before that was put in, and I have to go back and look in the documents, but it was in the initial pleading is one of the issues where if we look at MLS's lawyer's motion for whatever it is, he wants more information. That right there is where Randy should have done it, because the judge said it in there. And I'm going through all the docs. I can't remember. It was like document like 30 or 40. I don't even think I have it in here. But it was way back in early 2024. Order for MLS more definite statement. In that is where it started to be produced that there was no identifiable customers. That's the that's the identifiable customers. And the judge wanted something more specific than the public at large. And all Randy had to do, in my opinion, was put something for the public, to limit the public at large to a demographic of some sort. That's all. And here with Chris, thanks for being a member for 8 months. Support Squid, hit that like. Freckle Ginger, we read that one already. I forgot to unstar it. And Harry, thanks for the $5 super chat. Nutella fund for baby squid. Yeah, let's not tell her about that. It's the I accept that you feel I'm wrong. We can agree to disagree. And I see your point. I just don't think it's right in this situation, because this started to become an issue. The motion for a more definite statement was April 9th of 2025. Or April 7th, of 2025. And that is where the judge allowed Randy to amend the complaint, and it should have been in there. You don't have to identify everybody. We just got to identify something other than the public at large. Because when you say the public at large, that could be people who had never seen you. And you can't sue for people who have never seen you. So, background on the case. Transcript of the April 3rd, 2025 show cause hearing reveals Judge Belatho's overwhelming frustration with the case because of the number of filings and increased workload for his staff. Well, yes, but that, if you read, and I have to find the exact document, but if you read that, the order for an amended complaint, he starts to mention shotgun pleadings in that motion 4-7, or in his order on 9 April. He says, in preparing the amended complaint, it would be wise of plaintiff to counsel to familiarize himself with the 11th Circuit precedent on shotgun pleadings, expanding that the 11th Circuit has condemned shotgun pleadings time and time again and repeatedly held that a district court retains the authority to dismiss a shotgun pleading on that basis alone. So it should, April 9th of 2025, it should have been known that your amended complaint needed more to prove to the judge that it wasn't a shotgun pleading. So that is where I think it started to be a problem, because here, this is what I'm looking at. This is the judge's motion from, or the judge's order from April 9th of 2025. They're discussing the characteristics of a shotgun pleading and stating that they violate FRCP 8's requirement that a complaint contain a short and plain statement of the claim, and courts in the circuit have little tolerance for shotgun pleadings. Relatedly, it would be wise of plaintiff's counsel to review the general rules of pleading with the particular attention paid to A2 and D1. The district judge has referred this case to the fullest extent authorized by 28 U.S. Code 16636. That means the undersigned will issue orders on all non-dispositive motions. But basically, he tells Randy in April, general rules of pleading, like, I have a problem with this motion or this complaint in April. But there's a difference where in the court system, you're not limiting yourself based because discovery hasn't happened. You're just limiting, you can't have the general public. You can't cite a claim as the general public being the problem, or the general public being the customer base. You have to kind of limit it to where your problem is. And that's the thing. Court cases need to be specific. And I see from a business perspective how that can restrict you from a liability perspective. But from a shotgun pleadings perspective, the judge wanted more back in April of 2025, and Randy did not give it to him. Yeah, brain damaging circles. So that's the judge said in April of 2025 that he wanted more, and it was not given to him. And unfortunately, that's his fucking right. Relevant procedural history, we all fucking know. The court is tired of both attorneys on this case. Clogging the docket was unnecessary, duplicated. And this is where, right here, gave me the hint that the judge does not like when people repeat themselves in multiple filings or in the same filing. I'm kind of reading into these judges' orders and like seeing what he likes. And this is my psychological background. Seeing how he likes things written, what he likes and what he doesn't. And I would tailor my motions to what the judge likes. Whether I have to or not, I'm going to. It's like my professor who liked things written a certain way. I hated writing like that, but I knew that writing like that would get me a better grade than if I pissed off this professor with my writing style. This writing style is not conducive to what Judge Blythel likes, and in turn, most likely what Judge Hinkle likes. I do agree. I do agree. We did a comparison back in the day in like June or July of last year where we literally went through the docket and we compared numbers. And I wish I still had that notebook somewhere, but we compared how many were submitted by Randy and how many were submitted by Bubbles in Federal 1. There was a staggering difference. Yeah. And by Randy going after the judge in Fed 1 allowed John to file a very interesting motion that hasn't been denied yet. Yeah, I have a problem with the judge saying no court. Nobody should file a motion in this except for every 90 days. Randy has to file something giving an update. I have a problem with that. But yeah, everybody just needs to remove shoes and walk out on the grass. Yeah. MLA style. I have a professor that liked a certain writing style, and it was a decade ago. It was like 2012, 2013 when I had this professor, but it was for a business writing course, and they liked things done a certain. They wrote their rubric really like tedious, and you could tell that they paid more attention to it than probably was necessary or they should have. But I had that fucking rubric out whenever I wrote my papers, and I made sure that I had everything that teacher was looking for, because I could have written the best paper, And if I didn't have one thing in that rubric, they failed you, or they, knocked you down a grade. And it was like, I'm just not dealing with this. So I've literally learned to look and read into how someone writes and then match their style in my response. Because if you match and if you meet somebody where they are, they're a lot less likely to be argumentative. It's probably why certain people come in this chat and are not disrespectful to me, where they go into other people's chats and they're unbelievably rude and disrespectful. Whereas they come in here and yes, most people in the chat do not like them. However, they've never been rude to me, so I let them stay because I meet people where they are. And if you meet people where they are, instead of just being confrontational and saying, well, that's not the way it goes, or I don't have to do that. Well, this person wants you to do it that way. And if you want to stay in this person's good graces and not have them like bitch at you all the fucking time, just suck it up and do it their way. Yeah. And any average attorney knows when a judge gives you advice or recommendations on a suit, you follow or acknowledge the advice or you are screwed. Same. I use the professor because that's something that a lot of people can relate to. Not a lot of people have been a lawyer in front of a judge, but a lot of people have been in front of your professor. You don't have to like your professor or like the way they do things to understand that if you don't do things the way they like it, you're going to fail this class. Small analogy for a much bigger issue. But if you don't do it the way the judge wants it, and every judge, you can go to uscourts.gov, and every judge will have a list of preferences, what they want. There's a case that I'm covering right now that there's a 6-page motion or a 6-page order from the judge saying how they want shit done in their courtroom. It's just the way it is. Like, I don't have to like it to understand that sometimes you just need to suck it up, buttercup, and do it. Otherwise, you're fucked. Yeah. And I try to put it in layman's terms that the larger like consensus can understand. Everybody, maybe not everybody went to college, but everybody can understand having a teacher that is a little bit shitty and they aren't doing things illegally. They're you doing things in their discretion. You just don't like the way they're doing it. And yeah, it sucks. And hey, John. All right. The quantity of judicial resources have been consumed by this case is ridiculous. Instead, the attorneys in this case have taken advantage of the court's patience and abused the judicial process. No more. And sometimes I feel, and this is a, okay, go on. I'll be right back. Yeah. All right. Sometimes it seems everyone is growing weed or tossing out needles. What? I missed something. John, I don't always agree with you. I don't agree with you a lot, and you know that. But I do kind of agree with you here. And I learned that when you have, if you go through and you read past orders that the judge has put, he doesn't like certain things and duplicative issues. And I understand every legal filing, like we can see multiple legal filings in multiple cases where things are repetitive because in different sections. But sometimes when you just overly repeat yourself, it's like, yeah. Most of it, or during the 48-minute hearing in Hales 1, Judge Blytho admonished Shockett over 35 times. Most of it related to his overwhelming frustration and exasperation with the large number of docket entries for which he largely blamed on Shockett. Did he explicitly say, and we'll have to look at the thing, it was all Shockett's fault? More so because Shockett was present and Matskin was not. Shocker, it's not the person who fucks up that always gets blamed or yelled at. It's the person who's there. Like, sorry, Shockett. Like, this is where you just kind of got to suck it the fuck up and chuck it in the fuck it bucket and move on. Because, like, yes, Shockett was present. So he's going to get the brunt of the judge's bitchiness because, like y'all, when I'm in a bad mood and y'all show up and I'm like, fuck this, fuck that. It's like, I'm not mad at you, but you're the ones who were here. So y'all got to listen to it. Duh. Like, that's where you just gotta fucking be a man, grow a pair, and suck it the fuck up. He cited the two motions. You know, Judge Blytho also interrogated Shockett about his filing a motion for summary judgment early in the case. Although filing a motion was not specifically noticed for consideration, he stated he struck it without ruling because he didn't want to see successive motions for summary judgment. Okay, go get the soap. Blytho also criticized Shockett for filing an amended complaint to sue opposing counsel in the middle of Hales 1, stating there was no purpose to do that other than to stir the pot and instigate conflict. I mean, I can't. Here's my thing with that. I don't know how I feel about the wording that was used. How about, is it a man thing? Okay, and this is my criticism of Randy, but this is my criticism of every fucking man in the world. Is it a man's prerogative to start one thing before you finish another? How about we finish one fucking problem before we start another? I need a fucking cigarette, and I don't even smoke. But, like, it's not instigating. I don't believe the wording here was used appropriately, but maybe the judge could have been like, how about you finish one fucking problem before you start another? Because that shit's always going to be there, and you can always sue him at a later date. You can always sue him. But can we finish one fucking issue before we open a new can of worms? Like, it's like someone starting to install a backsplash, finishing half of it, and then moving on to painting a wall. It's like, how about we finish one issue before we start another? That's got to be a fucking man thing, because I don't really know a lot of women that, other than ADHD people, that have that. I'm just saying, like, the wording probably could have been better if that was not taken out of context. However, you know, I don't disagree if that was the judge's sentiment of, and I do think that people on both sides do things to instigate conflict and stir the pot. There's a reason that certain people don't talk about active litigation that they're in. Larry being the prime example, and I have to go make sure my daughter's not flooding the bathroom. Hold on real quick. She likes to continually wash her hands. So I'm totally ADHD. Yeah, I am too. I don't think Belitho likes this case, and I don't think Belitho likes anybody involved in this case. And I believe Belitho is really sick of trying to hide his. Can you go get a towel? Hide how he feels about that case anymore. I don't know necessarily think that's the right thing to do. However, you know, I would not have started Fed 2 till the bankruptcy was started, and I left JP LP and JC out of the seconds. I would have done a lot of things different. This is the motion to recuse the judge. We're kind of skimming over it because it's 80 pages, 34 pages of this, and then an exhibit. He compared dealing with the attorney to talking to his children. And I'm not going to defend the judge, but I do remember Jeremy laughing about that in a live stream or a video. I'm not sure which one. I really don't care. But, like, you can't. And this is the criticism of Jeremy. You can't laugh about it and make content out of it and then simultaneously bitch about it the next thing. It's like Bruce laughing about being called Bubbles or Bruce the Deuce, and then bitching about it and saying it's anti-Semitic in the next sentence. Like, you can't fucking do that. That makes you a hypocrite. It's a weird conundrum. It's just a weird conundrum that I find myself looking at, and it's where I say that, like, I don't like either side, because the one side acts like, no offense, if John's still here, no offense, but I think sometimes you act like a really shitty person. But that being said, I hate hypocrites. And when someone laughs about it and thinks it's funny and makes a joke out of it like it's no big deal, and then uses it in a motion to get the judge disqualified, that makes you a fucking hypocrite. Hate me if you want to for that, but, like, this right here, we just need to finish one thing before we move on to the next. Because I don't think Randy's a bad person. I don't think Randy's necessarily a bad lawyer. However, when you are spread too thin, like the reason why I cut down my content, because I was getting spread too thin and I was starting to suck at everything I did. Whereas I'm pulling back and putting more time towards things so that I can make better content in the areas that matter and do better for my family and do better for my health. All of those things. Because when you get spread too thin, you start to suck at everything. And I'm convinced that Randy is spread too thin. Between all the cases in Levy County, between 3 federal cases, between the Orange County case where he's representing everybody, 5 defendants or 5, not 5 defendants, 5 plaintiffs. I think it's 5. There is just too many places too many things to focus on. Instead of focusing on 1 or 2 things and being really, really good at them and being able to give all of your attention to those. Yes, it might take you 3 years longer to get through everything. But I think the quality of the situation, and I don't think we'd be in this situation right now if there wasn't, and that right there. Yes, the problem is you can't admit that you were wrong, make fun of the whole situation, and then use it as a reason to disqualify the judge. That's that I agree with. But I also think he didn't want to be seen as the judge. two things. He didn't want to be seen as the judge who sanctions everybody, and he didn't want to be a Hinkle. And if Judge Hinkle sees this, sorry, not sorry, bro, you're a dick. But I also think he didn't realize that he was dealing with people who do not like to act like adults. Yes, and I also think that there should have been something like, this is hindsight being 2020, and I don't know if you could have changed this or how it would have been addressed. But when you know that Bruce is filing motion after motion after motion after motion, Randy responded to most of them. And I think, and Randy did mention this in a motion or in a response, but I think it was too late. Because I think it had already, like, the judge had already, like, kind of made his shit by then and had his opinions. But Randy should have been like, or the judge should have, and I think this is the judge problem as well. The judge should have been like, if you file a motion that I don't think is worth it, I don't think needs a response, I'm going to say don't respond. And I think that would have cut down Randy responding to a bunch of shit that didn't need to be responded, and then just ended up being bickering back and forth. Because then you file a response to the response, and it's like, shit gets out of hand. But I think the judge should have been very clear. I will tell you if I think you need to file a response. Instead of Randy just automatically filing responses because he felt he needed to. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that one either. And excuse me, I have to blow my nose. Thanks for your cooperation. I just didn't want to blow my nose on camera because I don't think y'all want to see that. I'm not sure about that. In some ways, maybe, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. All right, Judge Blytho stated plaintiff's counsel was, and remember, and in this, he's still talking about the April 3rd hearing where Bruce wasn't there. So every time Judge Blytho stated plaintiff's counsel, it's because he's talking to Randy, because Randy's the only one that's there. So, like, the way this is written, I don't think it's bad, but I think it's a little misleading if you don't know the context. When plaintiff's counsel, are we sure that he said plaintiff's counsel or he just said the parties? Because that's the thing. He's talking to plaintiff's counsel because plaintiff's counsel is the only one who showed up. So the judge could very well be venting to both parties, but you're not putting both parties because the both parties part doesn't make you look as much like the victim. Yes, the judge should have given strict directives from maybe not from the beginning, but once he noticed that this was going to be a paperwork fucking nightmare, he should have been like, I will read through this filing and let you know if you need a response. He should have had control of that, because that would have saved Randy responding and then freaking dipshit responding back and then Randy responding back and then fucking Beelzebubbles or Bubble Brain. Ugh. I can't even call him Bubble Brain because I'm not sure that there's anything there. Like, I might be stupid, but at least I had surgery to know that I have a fucking brain. I've had like 6 MRIs. I had brain surgery. Like, I have a team of doctors and nurses who actually saw and put their fingers on my brain. So I know there's actually one there. I'm not entirely convinced that if Bubbles were to have a fucking MRI or even a CT scan, that there'd ever actually be something up there. I'm just, you know, I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure. If I was Jeremy, I would have sued Fleesa first because she likes to keep the pot stirred. Yeah, I think she's the only one that I would have sued. Because of certain things that were done. She was the only one that I would have sued. He also stated that he'd been way too patient. The docket had been ballooned. Well, there's no lie there, and there's no lie there. I believe the judge was way too patient. And he gave the parties too much leeway. I also think that's part of losing control of your courtroom. You gave the parties too much leeway. Blythe commented he had never seen anything like this. Well, duh, because has anybody ever seen anything like this? Laura Owens is the closest bullshit fucking case that we can come up with that's even remotely close to this. Just saying. Yeah. It's noteworthy shortly after the show cause sanctions hearing, Judge Blythe ruled on Preston and Cook's request for an appointment of counsel. Judge Blythe had previously denied their similar request. And April 4th, almost exactly 1 year earlier, stating defendants no exceptional circumstances that warrant the appointment of counsel, and he didn't appoint them as counsel. And if you really want a situation like that, fucking Sarah Boone asked for a lawyer, or asked for, Sarah Boone, Judge Kranick, put a handwritten flyer, and I have it somewhere in her motion or in her folder in my computer. Put a handwritten letter from Sarah Boone looking for an attorney in the courthouse. It is not unusual. Do I agree with it? Fuck no. However, Randy acts like fucking Beletho is the only fucking judge ever to fucking do this shit. They wouldn't have a fund, district bench and bar funds, if this wasn't a thing. So, that is one thing I don't agree in this motion. It's like, you act like fucking Beletho is the only fucking person ever to do that. They have a district bench and bar fund for a reason. If he has a bubble brain, the bubbles are full of nitrous. Well, he's something. Report and recommendation. We all know. Sprawling 74-page document alleges sprawling conspiracy that borders on a shotgun pleading. He had told you in his motion, April 7th or April 9th of 2025, that your first complaint, your original complaint, bordered on a shotgun pleading. He told you a year ago. Well, 10 months ago. So certain things, I'm sorry. I'm not entirely happy with the judge, but some of the things in here, I'm like, he fucking told you a year ago. Can you not read? Because the rest of us can. I'm sorry. This is where I'm like, quit your bitching and grow a fucking pair. This screams like Bubbles to me, because this is some shit that Bubbles did last year. This is Bubbles. This does not, to me, is not the same as Jeremy writing to get the Thomas's, whatever his fucking name is, removed, because that actually had bias and legislating from the bench and helping a pro se defendant, which you're not supposed to. So they're just not the same. It's not the same. Report also references an unrelated case filed by Hales against a Florida state prosecutor, to which Beletho was not assigned. This is interesting to me because I'm not sure I'm not sure where that came from in the sense of, hear me out. I'm not sure where if that case was going to be assigned to Judge Beletho, so he was aware of it. because there is a lot of shit that happens behind the scenes and how people get assigned to things. So I don't know where he learned of that. It might have, because it's in the same district. When you type in Hales in the computer, it probably comes up. So it's kind of like, was that going to be assigned to Judge Belaytho as well? And then wasn't because of all the shit going on in this? So he might have been aware of it from the very start, but hasn't looked it up in a while. So, like, this is devil's advocate, because these are things we don't know. And I would really love the answer to that by the judge. So 4 times in the report, in the context of criticism, Judge Belaytho noted the plaintiffs were represented by counsel. This is like, huh? Okay, fucking big deal. Which means you should have pled it better because you had counsel. Like, I don't disagree with that either. Like, that sentence screams whining. They mentioned that I was represented by counsel. Yes, which means you should have fucking known better. Which just tells me that Randy's overwhelmed because he should know better. I mean, I fucking know better, and I'm not even a goddamn lawyer. Excuse my language, but sometimes you just have to call shit like you see it. The report further stated, plaintiff is not moved for leave to amend a manner required by Rule 15A2, although their response and opposition requested an opportunity to amend and address any perceived defect. You had an opportunity. This is your amended complaint, or second amended complaint. You had a reason. Like, you had time. You just didn't. And this is where I think, grounds. Pejorative language in Hales 2 report echoes the overly critical tone and extreme frustration expressed by Judge Belaytho in his various orders. I don't see this going well. I don't see Judge Hinkle. I don't see this going well. I don't see this going well. Especially because it's going to Hinkle. If it was going to another judge, maybe. But just knowing and researching Hinkle like I have, I really don't see this going well. The standard for disqualification is objective, such that a reasonable person with knowledge of all the facts would conclude that the judge's impartiality might be reasonably questioned. U.S. v. Bailey. And that's the thing. I would like to say that on both sides of the people covering this, that I am the most call it like I fucking see it, and I hate everybody kind of personality. And when I say I hate everybody, I don't actually hate everybody. It's just like, nobody involved in this no party to this case is a friend of mine. I am not on the phone texting so-and-so every day. I don't have anybody's phone numbers. I don't talk to anybody behind the scenes. Nobody who's a party in this case or a lawyer in this case, I would consider even an acquaintance of mine. So I have no loyalty to anybody except what's in the documents. Reasonable person with knowledge of all facts. I would conclude that the judge is giving pro se defendants a little more leeway than he should. But once again, I can think of 100 fucking cases where pro se defendants are given more leeway because they are not lawyers. Although the one where someone who has a law degree, even though they're not a practicing lawyer because they went to prison, him claiming that he has no knowledge of the law, I would call that fucking shit right away. I would totally call that fucking shit right away. Recusal decisions are extremely fact-driven and must be judged based on their unique facts and circumstances. This screams emotional. This just screams not facts. To me, this screams emotional. Memorandum of law. Impartiality might reasonably questioned by the average person on the street who knows all the relevant facts. I don't see this going well. I see this going about as well as bubble brains. Like, the report reflects Judge Belaytho's high degree of antagonism towards Hales' counsel and Hales' lawsuit itself, which originated in a closely related case and carried over into this case, resulting in a dismissal with prejudice that appears more retaliatory than reasoned. I don't think, see, and that's the thing. I don't think that at all. I don't think that at all. I just think this is a bunch of emotion. This is not as emotional and not as aggressive, but this screams whiny to me. And I'm sorry. I really hate to say that, but this screams whiny to me. Judge Blytho's reference to the unrelated Owens case. This is the only one where I'm really like, did he know that? Or how did he know about that case? Because it is in the same district and it is with the same person. So was it going to be assigned to him originally? Which I think he should have, you know. Judge Blythe, the juxtaposition of referencing Judge Winder's unfavorable ruling in a case to which Judge Blythe was not assigned implies that Blythe believes that all of Hales' complaints lack merit. I didn't get that. I didn't get that from reading the report and recommendation. I didn't. But that's just me not having any emotion, not having any, except for frustration with the fact that grown-ass men can't agree with adults or act like adults. While independent research by a judge in itself does not inherently require disqualification, that statement right there fucks you. That took this this statement right here. This statement right here made all this to me just go away. Because my thing was, okay, well, how did he find out about the case? And will you say, well, independent research does not inherently require disqualification? Yeah, I don't see this going well. I don't see. Well, it also could be when he types in Hales's name into the computer, all the relevant cases attached to that name show up. Yeah. It's just, the judge's pejorative remarks about defendant Antar's son and others in prior criminal fraud case against the son can negative aspirations against Antar, the father, okay, in the Hales case. Origins of the carryover antagonism. Magistrate Blytho was assigned to that case 6 months later. Court granted Attorney Matskin's motion to appear, and we know this shit already. And this is where it's like repetitive because it's like you already mentioned that above. Defendant's counsel the court stated second defendant's counsel needs to focus on asking questions about his claims raised in the litigation instead of attempting to instigate conflict, which is true. We already did that. This is where it gets repetitive because it's like we already know this. Immediately after striking defendants for motions, where the judge got snarky and in the footnotes, bring your checkbooks. Yeah, this is all like Bruce Matskin pulling and I do think that the judge did not know how to handle that. I think Hinkle should have handled it, but I think this is where Hinkle should have been like, I'm stepping in. I'm going to sanction him myself. Sorry, I got swirled. I'm just trying to get through this shit quick because I really don't want to talk about this anymore and I have to go. The hearing on April 3rd, timeliness. Hales did not seek disqualification at that time. Well, obviously you can't because he's yelling at you because you're the only one who showed up. That's called grow a fucking pair. I'm sorry. I dealt with a Master Chief that had a pair of footprints right there next to his desk, ready to chew out anybody who crossed him. It was called, at 19 years old, I learned how to fucking grow a pair and take criticism. And understand that just because someone's mad about a situation and I'm the only one there for them to yell at, then I'm going to take the brunt of the bullshit. That doesn't mean that they're biased against me. It just means I'm there and I'm going to take the brunt of the bullshit that they are feeling right now. It's called growing a fucking pair of balls. But this is also why I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a judge or anything like that, because I would tell you, suck it the fuck up, chuck it in the fuck it bucket and move on. Like, Judge Beleso intended to sanction Matt Skin personally and independently for both his conduct and for failing to appear. And because the various states ostensibly afforded all concerned a much needed cooling off period, a disqualification did not appear necessary or warranted. However, Hales 1, April 3rd remarks in Hales 1 became relevant later in Hales 2 when Judge Beleso issued the February 10th report containing pejorative language directed at Hales' counsel. That just fucking makes me laugh. Like, that just fucking makes me laugh. Yeah, and that's why I'm getting through it to say that I did. And yeah, the remarks at April 3rd hearing. He seems to be pissed about this April 3rd hearing and the remarks that were made towards him. However, when you make multiple YouTube videos making fun of what the judge said and now calling the judge a potted plant and really making fun of the judge, I believe you have no fucking room to talk. So I am not going over any of this shit anymore. You got all the fucking shit that I'm going to talk about this because I hate this goddamn case. Like, I'm sorry, I don't see that going over well. I can completely understand being pissed at the judge because you don't get your way and Bruce still hasn't been sanctioned, blah, blah, blah. I completely get it. However, bringing up things that were said to you a year ago when you've never complained about them, that's like me telling Mr. Squid that I'm mad at him for remarks he made 6 months ago on a Tuesday when he got home from work. What? You didn't bring it up then? You only brought it up? And this is the part where I don't think it will work out. It will not work out because you said it was only warranted after he wrote a recommendation for dismissal. That to me screams you're just retaliating because you didn't get your way. And if it screams that to me, and I'm generally on Jeremy's side as far as understanding why he's making the decisions he's making, if he's right there, that screams that it's retaliatory. And I see Hinkle going, it's retaliatory because you didn't do this a year ago, 10 months ago. You're only doing this after the report and recommendation for dismissal, which means it's a retaliatory move. And that right there is why I don't think it'll work. But anyway, I gotta go. I have you redirecting over to Roslyn. Have a great day. Bye, guys.